What's up, guys? Man, it's good to be back. I know it's been a rough week for a lot of people in Cincinnati, and I get it. I've been there. I mean, I understand some of the things you're going through, man, but it's gonna be okay. And I know there's a lot of things we're gonna go through tonight, kind of showing you like it's just off a little bit here and there. It's not really some major problems. Now, go ahead and talk about the elephant in the room. Burrow's calf. Okay, so whatever the case is with Burrow's calf, if he is ready to go and he can play, I'm sure he's going to play. Here's the thing. Now you look at the schedule coming up. You've got the Rams on Monday night, so he's got an extra day, and then you turn around. I believe it's Tennessee, Arizona, Seattle before you have to go to San Francisco, and Buffalo comes to Cincinnati. Now Seattle just beat Detroit, so can they get through these next four games? With a 3-1, 2-2 record without Burrow. I mean, I would think that if they would use the run game and the defense steps up, that they could be in those games. I don't think it's just like saying, they don't have anything behind Burrow, and it's just the rest of the team is no good without him. I don't think that's the case. But again, where are they at? What are they? How hurt is his calf, and can he push through this? So I think that's what we kind of got to wait and see. Again, the injury reports come out a little later this week because obviously it's a Monday night game. So as they start pushing forward with the preparations for the Monday night game versus the Rams, that's kind of what we're looking for. Now, again, the disappointing outing on Sunday, obviously. This is one of those outings that you kind of go, I mean, what's going on? Why is there no groove on offense? Why is the defense missing tackles or losing contain on certain things? But I think what they found was a groove. They found their groove late, and it was just a little too late. And Burrow goes 27 of 41 for 222 yards, 2 touchdowns, interception. Now the interception I'm going to talk about here in a minute. It's one of those rare interceptions that obviously I'm not in the building with them, but I can tell you right now, it looked like he didn't even see that safety on the backside. So it doesn't happen that often. Now, he was only sacked one time. So you got to give the O-line credit. Everybody's been all on the O-line about everything that they've been doing over the last few years. Sacked one time, and that's pretty good. I mean, it doesn't matter who you're playing. But again, you're playing the Ravens, who have a pretty good front. But Joe Mixon, again, showed promise, 59 yards, 13 carries, but he also had 4 receptions for 36 yards. And I know there's a lot of people out there that go, this offense isn't built around Joe Mixon. It's built around Joe Burrow. Yes, but the best friend to a quarterback is a run game. The best friend to a quarterback is being able to play action off the run game, being able to have quick game that looks like run game. You can get in run formations and do things like that. So it was good to see T. Higgins get back involved, and he had a few catches here and there. And I believe he ended the game with eight catches, 89 yards on 12 targets, 2 touchdowns. Now the Ravens offense, had a really good game on the ground. And again, I'm going to show you some things that happened in that game where they lost contain, they lost lost leverage, they just missed tackles, and it's not something that I'm sure that they are very happy with. So it's gonna be one of those things where they're gonna have to get that fixed. Lamar Jackson, was able to hook up with 7 different receivers. He went 24 of 33 for 237, 2 touchdowns, no sacks. The Bengals just kind of, they couldn't really contain him like they needed to contain him. On one of the things I noticed, the Bengals were kind of on the wrong end of some calls. I'm not making excuses at all, but you had a fumble that was taken away for a hands to the face by one of the Bengals defensive linemen to the Ravens offensive lineman. I've been on the wrong end of that too. We played in Green Bay. I think I've mentioned this before on this show. Played in Green Bay when I was in Detroit, and Trey Flowers got called for hands to the face on, I believe it was Bakhtiari, and it took away. I mean, it let them keep going. And obviously, you don't want to give Aaron Rodgers any extra time, and that's kind of what happened with the Ravens. I mean, you have a fumble in the red zone, and it got taken away. So obviously that, and then the questionable DPI on Odell Beckham Jr. So again, the one thing they need to do is, I always told the players, never put it in the hands of the officials. You never put the game in the hands of the officials, kind of what they did. Again, The biggest concern I think going forward is the health of Joe Burrow. I think we all see that. With the stretch they got in front of them, what can they, how can they handle this? And it's all it's all really kind of up to that at this point. But let's dip into the defense, the Bengals defense here, and there's some good things that happen, and again, there's some things that you look at and you go, what's going on? So the first thing I want to look at really is a lack of pass rush. Okay, so what's going on here in this case here? This is really Spider 2. They're running Spider 2 mesh. I know some of y'all seen John Gruden, Spider 2 Y banana, but this is Spider 2 mesh. And really, what they're doing here is they're going to end up. They're trying to run guys kind of across here. He really runs kind of a, it's more or less a kind of a stop route, but they're running this guy off the edge. They're gonna make everybody else go this way and block. So it's kind of a, you can see right here. It's just full gap protection, and you end up getting a lot of time. And if you watch what happened here with the routes, so they even run into each other. It's not a good route by the Ravens. So you've got him running over the top. They're trying to get Odell Beckham to get a pick route because they think it's man, but it's zone. And what's happening here is you really end up having to throw to this guy. Well, they've got him covered. Well, the problem is when you have that much time to throw, and he actually ended up getting it to that guy. So it's one of those things where you just kind of find a way to, if they're going to do a full slide here, and again, this is 3rd and 2. So your full slide in your line, you've got a back one-on-one here on a defensive end. And that's really that's Hubbard that the back's on. The back's blocking Hubbard right here. So, he beats him, but then again, he doesn't get there. And it's a lack of pass rush. Now, again, this is going to be 3rd and 4. This is a red zone scramble, okay? Red zone scramble drill. So Jackson's going to break the pocket here, and he's really going to go on a slot fade combination. Now I want you to keep an eye on this, okay? So this is a slot fade. So they're going to run a slot fade and kind of come underneath right here. Doesn't work now. I think everybody, if you've watched Twitter or X.com, whatever it is now, if you've watched anything on the internet about what they did later in the game when they threw a touchdown, they actually threw this exact same combination later. Now, the difference is, I want you to pay attention. There's going to be 2 high safeties. Yes, they're playing really man underneath here, but they got 2 high safeties. So what they're trying to do initially is they bring the guy down here. You'll see this. So they're trying to run a slot fade here. Well, they're playing like a brackets coverage here, so they're bracketing this. Well, the slot fade's dead, so you can't throw that. So he looks over here because he knew when they motioned the guy down. If you watch this, see how they'll motion this guy down here. Well, nobody really changed. Nobody went with him. So what they're saying here is Lamar looks at it and go, I have zone. So this combination is dead to him. If you watch his eyes, if you watch Lamar Jackson's eyes, they really never go to the right. They're looking over here pretty much the whole time. So what he's doing is he's saying, okay, I got to throw the zone. Now, he scrambles, and then he ends up throwing it to the underneath guy of the dead route over here. So again, it's the lack of pass rush and being able to. It's 3rd and 4, and you're not getting anybody on him, and you're able to complete a pass down here on the 2-yard line, and I believe that ended up being a 1st and goal on the 2-yard line. So again, it goes to just a lack of being able to pressure the passer, and then. That's hard. I'm just going to tell you all that's hard on a defense to be able to cover that area for that long of a time. Now, if you this is kind of funny. Bam! I mean, at least they got a shot in on Beckham Jr. right there. So that's OBJ got a little shot. All right, now here's one of the issues the Bengals have got to really start paying attention to now, and I know they are, but. If you run a blitz, so right now they're actually going to run what I call a saw blitz. So it means Sam and Will. So it's kind of a double-edged blitz here. Now, here's what's going to happen. If you're the blitz guy off the edge, that means these guys are probably stunting inside. Well, when you do that, this guy has got to be the contain man for the run. If the run were to come this way, he's got to make sure to turn that run back into everybody else that's inside here. Well, here's what's happening. So Justice Hill takes the ball, and Mike Hilton goes too far inside. He runs around him. Now you've got two blockers now that have they've actually were running. If you notice, they were actually running kind of a step back bubble, if you want to call it that. So when he blitzed, he went to block him. He could have actually thrown it to number 4, but so he's going to block. Well, when he gets the ball and he comes out here, he turns into a blocker. Next thing you know, you've got all kinds of blockers on that and it gets to the perimeter, and all that had to do was really just Hilton just needed to go upfield a little bit more and turn that play back inside. And instead it turns into roughly a 10-yard gain. And if you see here, you'll see these guys are going to stunt inside. Well, they can't, obviously your defensive end here is normally contained, but if he's going to stunt inside like this and the blitz comes off the edge over here, that guy's got to be the contained guy. So that's where the lack that's where the breakdown was right here. So, and obviously when it turned into a run, those receivers became blockers, and it led into a pretty decent sized run. Now, 3rd and 3, ball on the minus 17-yard line. All right, I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off of this because this is the non-sack fumble, or sack non-fumble as it says at the bottom here. All right, this is where the game could have probably turned tides of this and made an entirely different game out of this whole game. But what's going to happen is if you watch right here, you'll see it right here. You'll kind of see it from the end zone too. And Zach Carter here gets his hand kind of in the face of that. Now, here's the reason they call it. They call it if it's prolonged contact. Okay, so let's say you hit him in the face and you let it go. They won't call that, but it's prolonged contact. So you can see how his head's kind of bent back a little bit here. Well, this is a really good job by everyone involved except for that, because we talked about in the last show, what's one of the things they need to do versus these mobile quarterbacks is they don't need to rush past the quarterback, because then the quarterback can end up doing it. So you'll watch, they don't rush past the quarterback. They end up making their moves inside. So they get to the quarterback, and you can see both of these guys come back in on the quarterback. Well, that's exactly what they should have done. And they end up knocking the ball out. It ends up being, a big play for the Bengals. It really should have been a game-changing type of play. Now, as you watch this, just watch right here. You'll see it's just that right there. It's not much. I mean, it's literally just it's an extended arm that's pushing the helmet back. And again, here's the thing. This guy, watch when he throws the flag. He hasn't fumbled the ball yet. He doesn't know he's fumbled the ball. So he actually called that before the ball was fumbled. Now, is that still yes, I see. Is that a brutal call, Casey? Yes, that is a brutal call, okay? But again, they make that call. They're told to look out for those kind of things. And obviously that was a major turning point in this game. Moving past that, because I'm sure that's not what anybody wants to hear about. But if you want to say by the rule of the game, they did call the right call. Do they call that every time? No, hell no, they don't call that every time. That gets called, like, literally. I told you I lost a game in Detroit for the same thing. That we're like, really, dude, like, you're going to call that now? But again, things happen, and you just kind of gotta move on with it. Now, one of the things that Baltimore's been pretty good at, and I think they kind of got in trouble with it in the first game, is they didn't call enough of them, and it was the quarterback design runs. And when when you change coordinators and everything that happens, you kind of go from having that run happy, run first offense that Baltimore had, and you kind of forget about, hey, there are some things that he can do. Now, what they're going to end up doing here is they're going to run he's leading. It's called a bash play. So he's really running like to the sideline. He's blocking. They're not even blocking this guy. They're reading this defensive end. So they're going to read this defensive end. They're going to block everybody down here. They're going to pull, kick, pull around, put him on him. And really, the quarterback right here is going to read. If this guy goes up the field, he pulls and runs. If this guy chases right here, he hands it off to this guy, and he goes around the corner. So, again, we've talked about this a few times, but when 96 held his ground right there, that's what he ended up doing. So you'll see right here, they end up send, which by the way, that is a large human being. I don't know if anybody's ever seen this guy, but that is a large human being. Real quick, I'm looking at the chat here. How worried should we be about the run defense? I mean, I don't. It's the same guys that have been in there. I don't think it's bad. I think it's just that they got to just kind of step up and do what they need to do. And again, it's not that they lack the talent. It's not that anybody's hurt. It's just it's hard to explain exactly what they're trying to get done there. But I think too, over time, you'll start seeing them get better and get better and get better. And they always make, I think Lou Anarumo does a good job doing what he's doing. But again, they've got to get it fixed. And that's what it is. OJ's 94 Bronco. I love your passion in there, man. I love your passion. Keep bringing it. All right. Cause I'll tell you what, you better watch out because I don't know where you're from. I'm assuming LA because OJ drove his car down, was driving down the LA freeways. I'm just telling you right now, you better watch out for these Bengals fans because they'll drive faster than you down the freeway. I promise you that. So, anyway, we're looking at this play here. So what they're going to end up doing, they're going to take him up through here. They're going to really block everybody back to these guys. Now these two guys are pulling for him right here. I know it's a lot of lines there. He's going to really ride this guy, and then Lamar Jackson's going to go through here. Because what they're doing is they're reading him. If he goes up the field or if he just sits still, quarterback will pull it and run. And then I do want you to watch the end of this play because we almost had the second butt fumble. Now show you from the sideline view. The sideline view is even better. I want you to watch. He's going to run right into the butt of this guy. Dink. You almost had the second butt fumble. That would have been something that at least, and again, that could have changed things. I do want to make a point, though, about the previous play. We were talking about the call that kept the fumble from happening. 4 plays later after that, though, after the fumble, the call with the hands to the face, 4 plays later, the Bengals did return a punt for a touchdown. So I just want to let you know, even though they didn't get the ball right there, 4 plays later, that was the punt return. So that was the same series. So they did get points out of that series, if you really want to say it, because really a punt return, is kind of like the first play of offense, and they stopped them and say what you want. So anyway, going back to tackling woes. All right, now I don't want to keep beating on the tackling here, but this is old school power. Okay, so what power means is this guy's kicking, you're pulling Zeitler. My man Zeitler's still pulling. I'm excited to see. I know he plays for the Ravens, but Kevin Zeitler used to beat up on me in pregame. He would come out and want me to rush him during pregame when he played for the Bengals. And if you've ever met Kevin Zeitler, he is a large, strong human being, and he used to hit me in the chest. It would wake me up before the games, and I'd be good to go. But I always had to go and rush him, do an up and under, try to rush. Anyway, neither here nor there. But Kevin Zeitler, still love you, but you used to almost make my heart stop when you'd hit me. So they're running old school power here. So we'll show you this there. Now, he's going to get – there's a lane there. That's good. Okay, there's a lane. There's going to be a lane every once in a while. Now what's going to happen is you've got 3 guys really right in the vicinity here, and he's still running. Now, was it a long run? No, it was not a long run. But the point is when you run power, this is a old school down block, pull around, kick out. This is like every junior high in America runs power, and it is what it is. I get it. But when you have that many people right there about to make a tackle and that happens and he's still going, it's just got to get fixed. Now moving on to the perimeter tackling here. So when we're looking at what they're doing here, they're running a basic bubble. So they're going to bring him here and they're going to run him on a bubble and block. It's a simple bubble route. And what's going to happen is Awuzie, I think I'm saying his name right, Awuzie beats his block. Okay, this is great. Look, it's another blitz off the edge. Great. Well, you know what? That's the best friend to a bubble. That's the best friend to a bubble because look, in all reality, you got one block, you got two blocks. The next guys are coming from way in here and way back here. So when they catch the pass, Awuzie beats the block. Now go make the tackle. Now here's the other issue. Okay, so you've got your other defender here who's really vicing. So he's got the outside, he's got the inside. He's coming from the inside, and then he's really fitting in back here. Now what's going to happen is you'll see the fits. He ends up fighting out. Well, he's got to then fight back, and the guy that makes the tackle is actually Logan Wilson, who, in all reality, if you watch the play from the get-go, from the start, I mean, he's way over here. So you're talking about a guy coming from almost on the other side of the field that actually ends up running him out of bounds, and all that was a simple inside zone or outside zone, I guess in this case, just bubble. Now, when they blitzed, he threw the bubble, and that's exactly what you do. But they got to get the perimeter tackling, the vice drills. And when I say vice, I'm talking about. Let me just get to the sideline. So you're talking about vice. So let's just say they threw a ball to him right here. Vice would mean you're inside, you're outside. I think everybody's kind of, if you've ever played punt team, you understand what vice drill means. So they've got to get to where they've got inside leverage, outside leverage, and then if there's somebody back behind, he has inside leverage, he has outside leverage, and he fills in between. And those are drills I know when I was in Detroit under Matt Patricia with the whole Belichick system and the Patriots way and all that. We did a lot of that work. So, but looking at this, so intermediate routes, okay, the Ravens have a ton of speed, okay, and they showed it off a little bit. So what happens when you have a ton of speed is you end up playing your, you kind of see, I believe it was Dax Hill was kind of messing around down here. He ends up going deep. And when you've got that kind of speed, here's what's going to happen is they play really deep. Now, when you play that deep on these kind of plays, here's what ends up happening. There's a lot of space right there in the middle of the field. Well, a lot of times teams go, oh, well, they're playing cover three, so we should attack here. We should attack here. Well, a lot of times you forget about that big void right in the middle between the deep safety and the underneath coverage. So when I say deep safety, he's deep obviously. When I say underneath coverage, there's these four guys that are the underneath coverage. So here you got deep and you got underneath. So I'm trying to be a little elementary on that. I'm sorry. I apologize for y'all that understand it. But if you watch what they do, they end up really just running a seam route that bends kind of into this area right here, and that's where they're ending up just kind of throwing that. And it's a tough kind of thing because really it's just a dagger concept. It's really not a seam. It's more of a clear out, and they're trying to bring him underneath. As you watch it, they're trying to bring Odell underneath right here. So in all reality, they're clearing out and bringing him under. So it's like it's this combination right here, and it just happened to be that they kind of hit the clear out before it even got to the deep safety because the deep safety was so deep. Again, when you look at the the pass protection, I mean that's a pretty good pocket, and again, it goes to just being able to beat one-on-one guys. Now, again, you got I'm sitting here watching watching over here with Hendrickson, and he's, I don't know what he's really worried about. I mean, he hurt the Ravens guy more than the Ravens guy hurt him. Now looking at this, so this was good. So I talked about the other day about your rush lanes and different things that that the rushers need to. Rushers, don't need to rush past the quarterback. These guys need to keep their lanes. Now, as you watch this is actually really, really good by the rushers by the Bengals. So don't rush past the quarterback. Now what's going to happen is when the end goes inside, it's really good here. The inside guy starts to play out. So you see how when he went in, he actually he looked at it and he read out of it and he came back outside. So it allowed the rush lanes to not lose. Even though he went inside, the other guy came back around, and it caused Lamar Jackson to have to step up in there. But when he did that, there was nowhere to go because the rush lanes were there. So they end up getting the sack here because of the rush lanes. And again, this was for Hendrickson and Hubbard. I mean, but if you see here, like, he goes up, he came back in. I mean, it worked out really well. So when he came in, he came back out. And again, they end up coming in. Hendrickson and Hubbard actually got credit for that sack. I'm not sure exactly how they figured that out, but it looked to me like Hubbard got him. Now, this is one of the big plays. Now they do this big shift here. Now, why do you do the shifts? Sometimes you do the shifts because you want to just kind of get them to have to rethink what they're doing. I think in this case they did a shift just to make sure that they could try to get the defense where they wanted them. So you may not want to do a protection to a certain defensive end. You may not, you know what I'm saying? So you're trying to get their defense positioned where you want them. So in this case right now, they knew they had their fullback coming back on Hubbard, and I'm sure they said, I'd rather have him coming back on Hubbard than on Hendrickson for some reason. But look how much time is back here. And you've got really fast receivers by the and all he's going to do is just run a post route, just a normal clear out post. And you'll see it's going to end up being a cross route here. So it's just your normal kind of 3-level, high, medium, low, 3-level route combination. And Lamar Jackson just puts a dime in there on Zay Flowers. And again, I guess they had blown it dead, but you can see here, this is what Baltimore brings to the table right now, is they have some speed. But if you give Lamar Jackson that much time and that much space for him to rear back like he's doing right here and let one loose, and really, if you look at this, I mean, there's not a lot of room right here for that. And one of the things I want to go back and look at and show you is what happens on this. So if you're playing cover 3, so there's your deep safety. So you're wondering, well, where's my deep safety? When this guy crosses, a lot of times they'll take the deep safety and have him cut the crosser and have this guy run back to the deep third. So he'll run down and he'll run back. Well, the problem is right now they just couldn't get back to where they needed to get to. So that's what was happening with that play right there. So it's again, you're talking about people are looking at like why is Hubbard dropping here, those kind of things. Well, a lot of times they may have had, look, they've got an 8-man drop, they got a max drop on that one when it's all said and done. But that's what's happening on that. So I think somebody was asking, what's Trey Hendrickson doing on that play? They could have had a max drop called on that play. Once it turns into a pass, get 8 guys out, three-man rush. Again, that shift at the very beginning, that shift kind of is what caused all that. Here's a man coverage scramble. Now we talked about the other day, one of the best friends to a quarterback, especially a running quarterback, is when you have man coverage, where's everybody's eyes? They're always turned away, kind of they're on their guy, or they're turned away from the quarterback. They're looking at their guy. So right here, you've got a lurk guy here. He's the only one that really doesn't have a man, but what he's doing is he's looking for this crossing route. So he sits down low right here. You'll see him right there pre-snap. Sorry, I went back a little too far. Apologize. You'll see him pre-snap. He kind of hanging out down here. There's your deep safety. Everybody else is man. So you're talking about man on him, and then these two are probably top hat, which means, depending on, see how he lets him go, and then he takes this guy. I went red again. How about that one? But you can see it's man coverage. Now what Lamar Jackson's going to do is he's going to step up in the pocket, and he's going to say, well, shoot, everybody's covering man. I'm going to go running. Now, here's the issue. This is 1st and 10. It's not a big deal. It's 1st and 10. But that's a big run. I mean, if that would have been a run by, any other guy, that would have been, it'd been good. Now, There was a flag thrown on this. I don't know if they called a holding penalty or what they called on this. I looked at the stats. I didn't see anything, so I don't know if they picked the flag up, which again could have easily have been the case the way things were going for the Bengals. Now I want you to go back to this. It's kind of crazy that this is happening on the same spot in the field, but earlier we talked about the basically the slot fade versus man, and they were doing this earlier, but they had two safeties, so they had another safety over here, kind of came over and played over the top. Well, they have a single safety over here, so you're playing press man. This is the play that's kind of been all over the internet this week. Well, they end up, all they're doing is I call it patch. It's just a slot fade, and it's a little under route right here. And when you do that, all you're doing is you're trying to get that slot fade because you got all this room back over here. Instead of running a fade from over here where you don't have all that room, you call a slot fade when he's number 2. He's number 2 in the slot, and he's got all this room over here to make a play. And you'll see right here, it's man coverage. It's just straight up press man coverage. And look at all the room that they've got to make that throw. They've got a ton of room, and he drops the ball right over his shoulder. Again, Lamar Jackson has won an MVP for a reason. I don't want to sit here and make excuses for the Bengals, but that's a pretty damn good throw. And now that's a bad dance. I've seen some bad dances by some of my guys when I was a running back coach. Trust me, I love you, Jeremy Hill, but there were some bad dance. But that's in a pretty good throw. I'm not real sure what Awuzie could have done differently to that. But again, that's why that route was thrown. That route was thrown 100%. Big. And again, they called it earlier knowing that if they didn't go man, if they didn't do this, they had a route concept on this side. This time they called it knowing that, hey, if they don't go man, you still have a route concept that's kind of working here, and boom, they hit it. And it's just good play by them. So again, that ball got out pretty quick too, so they didn't have to really worry about any kind of pass rush in all reality. So now looking at this, so there's 2 minutes left. I want to make sure we hit this up. There's 2 minutes left. The game's pretty much over at this point. Now what's going to end up happening here is this is 2nd and 9. There's 2 minutes on the clock. 2-minute warning just happened. Bengals have no timeouts. So the whole rule of thumb is this: if there's at the 2-minute warning, if you have no timeouts and a first down, kneel on it. All right, it's just a rule of thumb. Now they have no timeouts. It's 2nd and 9. One of the best players on the field for the Bengals is number 94, Sam Hubbard. Just bottom line, it's one of the best players. So what you're going to end up doing here, they're going to run a play where they don't even block him. All right, and it's a speed sweep. They're going to bring him on a speed sweep, lead around with him, and they're not even blocking him because they're going to say, we're going to run past you. So as you watch this, it's good play design. And again, you can see here they're reading him. So if he were to go up the field, you can see here they're running like a quarterback punch, a one-back power. So if he were to crash down, they hand it off like they've done. If he were to go up the field, Lamar Jackson keeps this ball and goes in here. So again, it's really that bash play I showed earlier, but you're talking about just a 4-minute. And when I say 4-minute, that's kind of like the opposite of 2-minute. So you're saying, a team has 4 minutes left. We got to run the clock out. And, that's where we're at right now. We got to run the clock out. So with that being said, this got from 2nd and 9, all right, to 3rd and 1. And then I don't have that play on here, but after this play, they ended up running just a normal, they got all their big guys out there and got the first down and then kneeled on it. So as you're looking at how they kind of finish the game out, when you look at the Bengals defense, you go, well, that's Hubbard. That's one of our, better players. It's probably one of our best players. And they literally schemed it up to not have to block arguably one of their better players right there. Didn't look at him, didn't even block him. So again, good play design by the Ravens. I know y'all don't like hearing that on the Cincinnati feed here, but that is what they did. So looking at the defense, there's some things to shore up. Tackling number one. I think they can find ways to get pressure on the quarterback. Again, they're playing Stafford this week. I was with Stafford for a couple years in Detroit. One of the smarter, better quarterbacks you're going to face as a quarterback, but he's not one of those guys that's going to be a Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson type of issue where he's going to come looking for, looking to run the ball. So it's going to be a different challenge going forward this next week with Stafford. And again, he's a very, very, very good, smart quarterback. One of the smartest guys I've been around. Deciphers out blitzes like I haven't seen before. But I will say he's not what you've seen the last 2 weeks. So that's a little bit of a different challenge for the Bengals this coming week. All right. So moving forward to the offense. I'm sure you guys are excited about hearing about the offense and the way they've started out. All right, so I made a comment last week about how they were using or how they weren't using chip blocks and how they should have been kind of, at least given a shot on the defensive ends on the edge to help the tackles out. And they were getting beat around the edge a couple of times because it looked like the tackles might have been expecting a chip block, but they weren't getting it. It looks like they said, okay, we're going to come out in this game and we're going to have a chip on this side and we're going to actually chip on this side with the tight end that's on the ball. So as you look at this, you'll see what they've done here is you got 81 Irv Smith chipping, you got the back chipping, and it does slow them down just enough. Now, they end up, throwing it down to the back here. I get it. That has nothing to do with the point I'm making here. But they did take into account that they probably should have been doing that more. Now, this was a 3rd and 9. So on a 3rd and 9, I've played the Ravens enough to know. I know they've got a different coordinator, but they've got the same head coach, same mentality. What they need to do is say, all right, let's slow down. Let's just slow this down. Let's build a wall on the inside. Make sure that this is taken care of, that pocket's taken care of. And that's what they did there. And again, Burrow getting the ball, checking it down. Nothing wrong with that. Just kind of got to, try to get the ball out to your guys down the field. Now, this is a duo run, okay? So what you'll see here is Joe Mixon will move over to this side. Duo, again, I've talked about this in the past. This is all, you try to get double teams in as many places you can get them. Now, why did Joe Mixon move from this side to this side? People are probably saying that's not a big deal. What they're doing here, you can tell the Ravens have set their 3 technique, which is the guy over the guard, and they've got a guy here in a 2-eye, which is basically an A-gap player. So you got an A-gap player here, you got a B-gap player here. Well, they're setting the B-gap player away from the back's alignment. So the back's on this side, so the B-gap player's on this side. So when Joe moves over to the other side, watch the D-line. They moved over. I'll show you this from the end zone of why they did that. Okay, so why would they want to do that? And if you watch this, you'll see this entire line will block down and basically wash this entire group down, and Joe will come here and bounce it around the outside, and that's why they did it. And again, you'd like to see the receiver try to get, T. Higgins try to get maybe a better block on that. Again, Joe makes a good, but you see how when he moved over, they moved over. They moved over there. So that's a little game that you play. You start watching film and you go, well, where are they setting their 3 technique? Well, that's a 3 technique. So there's your A-gap player. So he moved over. Now they've got angles. All these guys can block down here. Basically, you're doing that. That's really all you're doing. Look at the angles you got. And then you can get him to bounce around the edge. And then you've got Joe Mixon on some little DBs. And I would take Joe Mixon on DBs all day long. And that's a big run to start, and everything. So here's something I just wanted to point out. So we tell receivers all the time. Number one is this. Hold on, I've got to go to the chat here real quick. Coach, we've been having debates in the office. Do you think the Bengals should play under center more? I would agree with you. I think they are made for shotgun. Go watch Joe Burrow all through college, at LSU, all the stuff he's been successful with, the stuff they've been successful with the Bengals. He's been in a shotgun. Randomly in the chat, I want to say hello to Miss Sarah Morgan, good friend of mine on the Lex and Terry radio network. So throw a shout out to y'all. Appreciate you coming in the chat, Sarah, but going back to what we're talking about here, and with receivers, we want everybody to think that they're going deep. And T. Higgins is one of those guys that's going to go deep, and he's going to be a deep threat no matter what. Chase is a deep threat. Now, what's going to happen is I want you to watch what happens to this guy. So all they're doing is they're basically just running hitches. And what's going to end up happening is T. Higgins is going to run a little bit deeper of a hitch. So there's Tyler Boyd. He's going to run like a stick here. He's going to run a hitch. He's going to run up and stop at about maybe 8 to 10. Well, this guy thinks he's going deep, and he broke his ankles, straight broke his ankles. And it's really funny watching this, because when you teach your receivers to do everything vertical, sell it vertical, sell it vertical, sell it vertical, and then the guy falls down. And all that is T. Higgins has run so many vertical routes that, there we go. And that was a 3rd and 3 right there. So it's as simple as that sometimes, and again, I think, somebody mentioned earlier, like what are they, should they have more run game? Should they have more Burrow? They're built around Burrow. Don't get me wrong. They're built around Burrow, but sometimes, man, you got so many weapons out there that if you use them correctly, like that right there, where you run them and make them think that they're going to go deep, and then you hit them with the stop route, it breaks their ankles, and you get, you get a first down, you actually get pretty good yardage. So, that's what they need to keep doing. I mean, they got weapons all over the field. Now, this is something that's a little concerning from my point of view. So this is 3rd and 5. You're on the 9-yard line. They throw these little back shoulder throws to Chase a lot, and they've been really, really good at them. Don't get me wrong, really good. So one of the things is here now, where this ball ends up getting thrown, as you'll see, that ball's thrown kind of right there. That ball's usually thrown more right there, and you'll see it later with T. Higgins. It's just a touch off. And is that a calf thing? I don't know. I mean, again, we can sit here and blame it on whatever you want to blame it on, but that is just a little bit off. And again, if that ball's right there, instead kind of on the front pylon, than it is right on the back of that defender, this ball's probably completed. So I think most of you guys feel like this guy right here. If you just watch this guy up here on the wall. So I think most of y'all feel that way. Guy's got really long arms. Maybe he should come try to catch some passes. But anyway. But you can see right there, if he throws that ball kind of more in that area where he normally does, I think that's a completed pass. That's a touchdown. So just that's how close they are. Now looking at Burrow, I call this the Burrow cha-cha. All right. For any of y'all that done, little cha-cha-chas, everybody's talking about Burrow's calf, but watch how he gets out of this cha-cha right there. So now the one thing I will say, normally when Joe Burrow's in this position right now, he's kind of pushing up the field and then tries to either, be physical or whatever. You can see he just said, no, I'm getting out of bounds. So that is a concerning issue right there. But you can see here, I mean, this is earlier in the game, so I don't think his calf was bothering, but that's pretty athletic for a guy that has a calf issue, and it is what it is. So now, do I think Chase has the ability to beat double teams on any route, like an elite top 3 receiver? Absolutely. Absolutely. And the reason I say that, because Chase is a top 3 receiver in the league. He's a top 3 receiver. He might be the top receiver. So, and that's, I mean, if anybody that knows me, I'm not a homer here. Like this is me talking. Burrow is elite. Chase is elite. I think Higgins is on the upper echelon. Okay. You've got him there. Yes, he is elite. So, hopefully that answers your question, but if you can see right here, Burrow kind of, eked out of bounds. So that you could tell he's not fully himself just yet, which is okay. When you're coming off an injury like that, you'd rather take it just a touch on the careful side than you would trying to make something happen, get hurt again. So, Bengals captain Caskey will never be a homer. Hey, listen, I love everybody in Cincinnati. I love the city. I love the city, but I'm a football coach at heart, and it is one of those things where you just gotta. I want you guys to see the game. I don't want you guys to necessarily hear. This is not a commentary, an opinionated commentary show. This is just talking some ball here, and I want you guys to understand that. Mixon now, Joe Mixon in space is pretty good, and what you're going to see here, that's Jamar Chase. What do you think defenses do when Jamar Chase goes in the backfield? They probably get a little concerned of like, what is he going to do? Because what could they do? They could do this and run him on a go route. They could, in all reality, they could hand him the ball going this way and have Mixon lead. I've seen them do that. They could run him out of the backfield, run a bubble. They could do all kinds of things. Well, in this case, all they're doing is they're going to do a fake to him, like a naked. So this is really just a naked slide. So anytime somebody comes from the left going right on a naked play where the quarterback's booting out, that's called a slide. And you can see Joe Mixon does a good job of avoiding the blitz. Now this was a perfectly timed call into a blitz, and you would love to run these if they're blitzing. You'd love to run them because that guy's not covering the guy going to the flat. Normally that's the flat coverage guy. Well, he's blitzing, and here goes the guy running to the flat, and Joe catches it and goes for, I believe 34 yards on this play, so 32 yards. And really all they're doing is they've created a conundrum, that's my big word for the night, of you've got two really good players in the backfield, and they're going to run a naked. They're going to fake going this way. All these guys are going to fake like they're running outside zone left. And then here goes Joe Mixon out of the backfield, and I don't know if you could scheme up a drop back pass that's really that wide open. So, that's a pretty good, it's a good call at the time. I'm sure they had a reasoning for that. They probably had a blitz tip or whatever the case is, going with that. All right. So brackets coverage. Now what you're going to see is you have two really good receivers here. All right. You've got a tight end and Higgins up here. So you got Boyd, you got Chase. What they're going to do is they're going to play 3/2. So 3/2. So there's 1-2. You got 1-2. They're really playing 3/2 over here as well. So it's kind of a triangle type defense. And what's going to end up happening is if he's really playing the flat over here. So if this guy were to stay out in the flat, this guy would take the flat. If this guy stayed inside, he'd take inside. But if he goes deep, this guy he'll help out on the first deep guy. But the second that, let's say this guy passes up, you'll see it right here. The second that this guy passes up the level of the inside guy, he'll take the outside guy, and the outside guy will stick on the inside guy. And there's your deep guy just kind of standing there. You see how this guy runs vertical? Well, he stays with him. This guy runs vertical. He stays with him, and you got a guy over the top. But right here, because the outside guy went deeper than the inside guy and passed up the level of that linebacker, they weren't able to pass it off. So you can see how that ends up opening up Higgins on the underneath coverage. Now, there's a lot more to that. Trust me when I tell you this. The brackets coverage 3/2 is a formation recognition, route recognition type of thing. And, that's a tough route for that play. And again, that was a 1st and 15, but it's a gain of 11 on 1st and 15. So as a play caller, I can promise you when you have 2nd and 4 versus 2nd and 12, 2nd and 11, that's a lot better place to be. So that was a good play call, knowing that they probably were going to have some sort of brackets there based on the down and distance situation. Now, red zone interception. Again, they're running a version of brackets. This time, you have two receivers inside here. You got Higgins and Boyd. All right, they are manned up. They're just straight up manned up. So they're saying that guy doesn't exist. So they're just going to take him off the field right there. So they're going to play 10 on 10 now. That's what they're doing out here. They're going to be triangled over these two guys, and they're going to be triangled basically over these two guys. And what's going to end up happening here is Burrow's not going to see the backside safety. So you can see how they waited. Now he took the inside, he took the outside, and he's over the top. Well, when you have a 3-by-1 formation, and again, there's no real third threat over here, his eyes are going to go over here. Once you see, let me play it if it'll go. Once you see Joe Mixon kind of hanging here, his eyes are going to go over here. And because he says, okay, these two guys got these guys handled. And you can see here how he starts to play over to this side. Well, Burrow's looking, and he sees that route coming open. And really, I mean, I hate to say it, but if that guy's not there, great job. But he didn't see him, and he jumped right in front of it. And again, that's not like Burrow to not recognize that. So I'm not 100% sure what happened there, but you can tell, like, Burrow never saw him. Burrow never saw that defender right there. And you can see, again, when his eyes started going over here, when Burrow's eyes started going over here, he starts to work over here. And that's when, he jumps right in front of it. So, like, that's what happened on that. Again, no excuse for that. And again, look, Burrow's fighting. Burrow's like, listen, I threw an interception. I'm going to go tackle the guy. So good for him for, putting the effort in. Now, this is a touchdown to Higgins. This is pretty simple. He's going to run an out route, and he's going to beat a version of brackets and man coverage. He's just going to beat it. So when they just kind of ran, they're basically top hatting it again. So he's going to take him if he goes here, and then he's waiting on him because they're stacked. So when people are stacked right here, that's tough because you can end up making picks and stuff like that. So what they'll do is they'll play off of him a little bit, but you can see right here, he pushes up and he breaks it out on the out route. Perfect throw by Burrow. Simple stuff. I mean, honestly, sometimes the most simple things are the best things to do. And I'm calling plays now on much different level than the Bengals right now, but I can tell you right now, your players make you, like, if you have good players, you're a good coach. If you have subpar players, you're a subpar coach. It's just going to happen. It's just the way it is. Now, they're going to beat 2-man here. So this is really a deep pivot, all right, by Irv Smith. So what they're doing is they've got 2 deep, and they're going to play man underneath coverage right here. So these 5 guys are going to cover their 5 guys underneath, and there's going to be 2 here, and there's going to be 4 rushers. And when you play 2 deep man under, usually you play inside leverage. It's kind of hard to see right here, but you see where he is on the field. He's really inside of his leverage. So he's closer to the middle of the field than he is right here. And what you'll see is when they run this route, he's going to push up. If you watch this, he's going to push up like he's running a vertical. He's going to sit it right here, turn, and bam, come out of this thing. And that's tough because that really, you got to think he's got inside leverage. So he's trying to take the inside away. Why is he trying to take the inside away? Because if you watch the way that they're set, sorry, having a little. You take the inside away because you got a guy sitting outside over the top. So that's where this is, coming from. So that's why they're doing it. But he puts his foot in the ground and pushes out. I'm sorry, I haven't been. I kind of got lost on the chat there, but I'll catch up to you guys here in a minute. But no, that's where they did. So when Boyd pushes out right there, I'm sorry, that was Boyd, not Irv Smith. That was Boyd. But you can see it's covered 2-man, and again, you can see watch it right here. You can see how he's located in, when I say inside leverage. See how he's inside, he's closer to the middle of the field than he is right here. So really, you've got him outside of him, and you got him inside of him, and he's trying to just play inside leverage man, really right there. That's what I mean by inside leverage. So you really had Joe Mixon on that play too. You could have thrown to him. Got a few more plays here on the offense. So a simulated blitz. I'm going to bring up a new term for you guys. If you look here, that looks like they're about to bring the house, right? I know they got a guy back here. That's probably not the full house, but they're going to bring part of the house. And what they're saying is a simulated blitz now, when you've got 2 linebackers in the A-gap, they're thinking, well, they're blitzing, right? Well, what they end up doing is they end up bringing 14 in here. And I'm gonna talk you through a little blitz. I'm actually going to take you to the end zone first before I talk this through. So the Ravens have been known to put this double A front. So you get your D lineman here, and you get these two guys in double A's. And what they do is they'll end up dropping these guys, do this. They'll bring this guy here. Well, they'll bring these two guys and run him up the middle. It's called 3 up the middle. So you got 3 guys up the middle. I mean, sometimes it's just as easy as that. But here's what Baltimore does. I want you to watch what they do. They're going to simulate this. So the Bengals walked up Travion Williams in here into this gap, and they're doing like an Abby call or whatever you want to say. What their double A is now. I know it used to be Abby. I'm not sure if it is anymore. But right here on the snap, now they're going to run out. Here's the problem. They ran just a touch too far, and they couldn't get to T. Higgins. I love this route combination. This is called quick seam, or it could be called like a F post. Basically, you're running like a shallow here, and this guy's going to come in, and he's really running like a little short post or a slant right behind it. And you'll see what they'll do here is they all run in here, and they can't get out in time. They can't push all the way out to Higgins on that quick post right there. And watch, you can see, I believe it's Queen right here. You can see how mad he is when he gets up, and it's just you could tell like they knew they had him. They knew they had him. They had this whole thing planned. I guarantee you, they practiced this thing. They practiced this type of blitz, and for them not to, get home or get an interception, you could just tell, like, it really upset him. And obviously he's, it's a good play by the Bengals. But that's how you beat a simulated blitz. So they showed blitz, they simulated it, and then boom, they came out of it and they beat the simulated blitz. Here's a Tampa 2 beater. Now I'm going to talk about Tampa 2 for a second. Tampa 2 is a pretty simple concept. So what's going to end up happening is you got 2 deep safeties. This guy's going to be the Tampa guy in the middle of the field, and then you got underneath guys here. Now what's going to happen is this Tampa dropper, this guy who's dropping to the middle of the field, and it ends up being kind of the middle third player in a cover 2 scheme. When your speed is on this side, he's going to turn his eyes and his shoulders to that side because that's where your speed is right here. Now what happens is they're going to run a wrap concept. So they're going to sit Irv Smith, and they're going to end up running right behind here and run a high-low on him. Now why you think, well, you're about to run into the back of 14. Well, 14's eyes are looking this way. All right. The last I checked, we don't have eyes in the back of our head. So when y'all decide y'all are going to get some eyes in the back of y'all's head or in the back of y'all's helmets, please let me know, because I could use those, and it would help out a ton, especially with my kids. I mean, if y'all don't know, I got a 6'4" and a 1-year-old, almost 2-year-old. I mean, I swear those kids, they know exactly where I'm at, and they'll get around. But you can see right here, you get that guy turned this way. You got 2 deep safeties. You high load on number 6, and you threw right behind him. So it's a very, very, very good Tampa 2 beat and play right here. So he knows right now. So Burrow knows right now when he sees that guy go and that guy go, you can see his eyes. He's kind of seeing it. He knows now I've got to work him. And again, this is something, I mean, Dan Pitcher does a great job coaching these quarterbacks. He was there with me when I was there. He did a great job. But you can see how 6 now is breaking up here. So 6 stopped. He knows Higgins is going to come right in that little hole right there, and bam, you just hit it. So again, that's next level stuff there, but that's what they got going on. Now, I want to make a point about Joe Mixon, and I know, again, this is the one place I might be biased. Okay, so be prepared for it. But I was part of drafting Joe Mixon. I care a lot for the guy. I like what he's doing. This is late in the game, and this kid gets the ball here. Now, I want you to watch. It's the O-line too, but he's done, right? He's done. No, he's not done. And that's impressive to me in the fact that he gets about 8 yards after contact. He gets hit right here on the 15-yard line. Now, again, I want you to watch his linemen. His linemen start pushing him too. I mean, he gets all the way down to the 7. So you're talking about, that's how much this guy, he can bring to it. I mean, you talk about running out of the shotgun. Yeah, that's not perfectly blocked. It's not. But as a running back, you don't have to have things perfectly blocked. Sometimes you just got to drag a 350-pounder on your back. And, it's there. The running game is there. So, I people that want to, keep banging on the running game for the Bengals, it is one thing. Now, I want to make a point here. This is the last offensive play of the day here. So I believe they said that the play before this is when Joe Burrow said he retweaked his ankle. So you're talking about a guy who's playing on a tweaked ankle or tweaked calf, rather. I'm sorry, not ankle, tweaked calf. Now, one of the things that Baltimore's been doing to him all day, I didn't have a whole lot of this on there, but they've been doing zero blitzes against him all day. That's what they do. If you go watch Baltimore, they have a zero blitz package, which means they have zero safeties in the backfield. So that's what zero means. Cover zero. Usually say cover one, there's one safety there. Cover two, there's two safeties there. Cover three, there's three defensive backs. Cover zero means there ain't nobody back there. So they are bringing the house here and covering man on the outside. This is a really, really good job of knowing that he's hot on this side, because what they're doing is they're sliding their line this way. So you're hot on this side. So he'll drift back over here and then end up hitting Higgins in the front pylon right here on the back shoulder. So you can see he knows he's hot. And he throws that ball. Now, again, we talked about earlier, where did he throw that ball to Chase? He threw it more like in here. He throws this ball where nobody but Higgins is getting this ball. So you can see where he threw that ball. And then Higgins, obviously, you trust your receivers as a quarterback to go make that play. And again, you look here. So they're all sliding this way. Well, you got too many guys. So you can see Jonah Williams actually kind of sets out and then comes back in. Well, you're hot off this guy anyway. So what's going to end up happening is when he knows he's hot, so you just start drifting back, and then you end up getting that ball out. But he knows he's hot. That's what happens when you don't have a back in the backfield. But look where he threw that ball. He threw that ball where nobody's getting that. So it is what it is when you say, man, they're struggling, they're doing this, they're doing that. They can still get it done, and that's a guy that's on a bum calf right there throwing that, and again, it comes down to him knowing I'm hot. Like, this is where my issue is. Like, I have to, like, those are mine. I don't have a back in the backfield to block that guy. I am blocking that guy. I am blocking him as the quarterback. Again, we talked about how the Ravens didn't block Hubbard earlier because they were reading him. Well, this is really the same thought process. And that's where it becomes with the hot reads and different things. And that's where certain quarterbacks would have been totally sacked on that. So, when you look at, really what they were doing on offense, I think that they were doing some good things. I'm going to throw Reed a curveball here. I do have one more clip I want to show that I pulled late, late out of the archives here. Here we go. I got the punt return. All right, so 4th and 5. Here we go. The punt return. Now got to throw Darren Simmons some love. I was with Darren Simmons the whole time I was in Cincy. Guy's been there since 2003. Like one of the best special teams coordinators in the league. I might be sucking up to him right there. Sorry, Darren. I know you don't like that, but as you look here, so this is a really good job by you. Sometimes when you just get past that first level, that's all you got to do is get past that first level and take off. Now, here's what they threw a flag on. Now, this isn't a penalty. So he thought they were blocking him because you're not supposed to block back towards your goal line. Well, if you watch when this guy made contact with that guy, he's got contact with him right there. He's had contact with him the whole way down. It's right here. Keep your eye on this. He's had contact with him the whole way down. That's not blocking back towards your goal line. That's just blocking. And it'd be one thing if he came and just came back behind the runner and hit him going back towards his own goal line. That's different. But that wasn't what happened right here. So that's why this flag was picked up. And that's why they, ended up getting the touchdown. But you can see right here, it's this guy right here, and you can see you see this guy way up here. That's the one throwing the penalty from way back here. on the Bengals sideline. So, I mean, there's Darren right there. I can tell by the white sleeves. So, Darren's probably had some choice words for that person. Yeah, there's Darren. I mean, if y'all want to see Darren Simmons move now, Darren, if you ever watch this, I'm sorry, but you got to watch Darren move right here. I mean, this guy's still got the moves. Look at him. Yeah. But that was, I just want to make a point of, that was a cleanly blocked, if cleanly's a word, that was a clean blocked punt return. And, that was really good by the special teams of the Bengals. So sometimes you keep yourself in a game. One of the things I wanted to point out was going forward, I know this isn't this thing y'all want to talk about, but after last night's game in Pittsburgh, you talk about a team that's winning by something else. They had 2 defensive touchdowns and won the game. And then Nick Chubb getting hurt. I mean, if anybody saw that last night, I don't care who you're a fan of, that I don't wish that on anybody. The Nick Chubb injury, prayers to him. I mean, he's a good player, and nobody, just getting hit like that, that's tough. But if you look at this, I just want to make a point. Yeah, it's 2-0 and 0-2, but with Pittsburgh winning that game last night, you now have 2 1-1 teams. You're not that far out. And again, my man OJ's 94 Bronco in here is going to tell you that the Rams are going to come in and steamroll them. But I can tell you this: if the Bengals can come out of the next 4 or 5 games, come out, or 4 games going into San Francisco, and be in the mix of this thing, and Burrow can get healthy, just watch out for what they're going to do. And again, I think they're going to correct the issues that they had going forward. I don't see this being a team that wilts under the pressure of having some things go wrong. But it is one of those things. I see if we get 50 likes, Coach will sing the Bengals growl. I did not agree to this. Now I might need the words to that. How many likes are we at right now? And we need to get this thing going. Actually, you know what? I got to throw this out there. My mother, Judy Caskey, just says, "Do you think Burrow and the Bengals coaches listen to Chatterbox?" She says they should. I agree, Mom. I do agree with that. So this is my mom that lives in Texas, and I'm going to tell you, when I was with the Bengals, was the biggest Bengals fan in the world, Judy Caskey. So if anybody ever sees Judy Caskey, give her a hooday and a big hug. And but I will say this: I don't know how many likes we have, but I would need the words to that again. It's been a while. I know it's like, "Hear them Bengals rallying, mean and angry." There we go. I just did it for you right there. So anyway, just want to thank everybody for coming in. I'd really appreciate y'all. And, we'll see you again next Tuesday, 9 p.m. Again, even though the game's on Monday, we will be on Tuesday. I'll see you guys on Tuesday night to recap the Bengals Monday night game with the Rams. All right. Appreciate you guys. See you soon.